Welcome, Chris Tompkins from Rustici Software, the company that everyone thinks about when you mention the word SCORM.
That's right.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's been a couple years. Thank you so much. It was great to reconnect, and I'm thrilled to be back on the podcast.
I think that most of our listeners haven't heard or don't remember all the details about your company or all the details about e-learning either. So take some of it again, but it's I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Can you start telling 2 words about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris. I work at Rustici Software, and professionally, I help connect e-learning products together so that they play and track the way that they should. And casually, to my friends who are unfortunate enough to ask what I do for a living, I'm an expert in e-learning interoperability, but realistically, we are to the e-learning industry what the MP3 is to the music industry. There are a lot of tools, Jens, for you and I to go mix a song together in a studio in Nashville, Tennessee, where we're from, or maybe we just do it in GarageBand on my phone. But at the end, the MP3 takes, our work, our artistry, saves it into a file that goes out into the universe, and anybody with a triangle button on their phone or their iPod or their Zune can play the song in the same way every time. And that type of widespread interoperability is very important, even here in 2026, making the SCORM standard quite old. I think it still has a lot of value and a lot of relevancy, even in the age of AI with all the stuff that's changing right now. So I'm excited to be here to talk a little bit about, hey, what is old is new again, because that's kind of the theme with all of these things that are changing. Some challenges that I know we didn't expect that are harder working with these standards inside of AI. And I'm also excited about some of the stuff you've been up to with skills and some of the other advancements in your platform. So I'm hopeful we can get to that too.
Yeah, we have used a lot of time to integrate our system with your system so that we receive all the tracking and everything that you have in SCORM Cloud. Before we dive into SCORM Cloud, we are going to say SCORM so many times this podcast. Could you go into what is a SCORM package for those that don't understand it? It's a little nerdy.
Yeah, that's great. And a fantastic reminder, Jens. I just assume everybody knows what SCORM is, but that is not a true statement. Most people don't even know this exists, and that's okay too. SCORM stands for the Shareable Content Object Reference Model. You'll almost never hear that used. And it is an old standard that was originally developed by the United States Department of Defense. So this standard is effectively a zip file, same archive you've used everywhere else, and it is the way in which an e-learning experience that has a beginning, a middle, an end, and probably an assessment is rolled up so that any creator anywhere can build an e-learning package, and it can go play in nearly any learning management system. And there is a relationship. We'll probably talk about this when we get to AI, but it was always supposed to be easier to build an e-learning package in the SCORM standard than it is to build the playing and tracking infrastructure behind it. So SCORM is a casual word, but it means different things to different people. There are several versions of SCORM. 1.2 is the most common in our SCORM Cloud that launches millions and millions of courses a month. 80% of them are still SCORM 1.2. So even though it's the oldest, interoperability is a place where it's the only time in tech where something's age is its strength.
Yeah, but you also have some other standards, and I opened one of these CMI5 files.
Yeah, CMI5
for me,
sure.
It looked very much as the same as a SCORM file. But
that's true. There is a lot going on inside CMI5 that makes that really important. And what I mean by that is that the CMI data model that underpins SCORM has been with us for a long time, and CMI5 is the newest iteration of those things. And CMI 5 uses xAPI, a new standard that Rustici helped write that establishes connections between learning products. And CMI 5 is the package of information that we're sending through the pipe. xAPI is very expressive. We can use AR, VR, XR, do all types of things. But it drops little breadcrumbs that say Jens did this, Chris posted a picture, Sam wrote on a wall, Tammy attended an event. That type of expressive nature is very, very cool, especially in AR, VR, XR, and simulators. Oh, sometimes we just need to say, Chris passed the course. Not mastered, not completed, and CMI 5 is that underpinning, and the CMI data model exists across SCORM 1.2, SCORM 2004, second, third, and fourth editions. So all of the legacy standards that do all of the things in the industry for a long time persist. CMI 5 is the latest way to do this, and I'm seeing huge growth in that even inside SCORM Cloud. So I think we're starting to catch up to what these standards need them to do. But I also don't want to go running off into the new things because with interoperability, with standards, I serve on 2 different IEEE boards. I very much believe in software interoperability. We need something old and stable to be very useful.
Yeah, so I think 80% that you're referring to, it tells a story that it's probably not going to change that fast either, because this is a way of doing it. But at a larger
level, like, Jens, how long do you think we'll use a PDF to move a document around? How long do you think an .xls will be an Excel spreadsheet? Like, there are some .csv files that, like, the entire financial industry is built on top of. So, like, I think with interoperability, once there is a standard that everybody uses, it's very valuable because it just clicks and works. So Rustici spends its time really supporting the legacy stuff well, because it's important, and paving a comfortable road to what's next. So we're doing a lot of that inherently through our products that you use every day. Thank you. That's always a flattering moment.
Yeah, and that brings us over to SCORM Cloud, which is your biggest product, I guess, and it's also called LRS, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is a LRS for those that don't know it?
I guess it's a great question. So, an LRS stands for a Learning Record Store. And it is a special database where xAPI statements must live. So inside SCORM Cloud, most people typically use this for something intentionally less than an LMS. And most folks like you who have a learning platform just need a way to play and track these files. So to be really pedantic for a second, and for all my folks out there who really get into the weeds here, SCORM Cloud allows you to upload SCORM 1.2, SCORM 2004, second, third, fourth, AICC, xAPI, 10CAN API, CMI 5, PDF, MP3, MP4. Give us your stuff. And we keep it in a library, and we know how to play and track it. And SCORM and AICC have their own way of tracking things, but SCORM Cloud can also automatically convert any tracking that we see into proper xAPI statements. And proper xAPI statements must live in a special database known as a Learning Record Store, or LRS. And SCORM Cloud provides both. We have the SCORM tables if you're using legacy content. We have the modern LRS, and we have reporting tools in between, and we can convert and mix and match things really well, because at the end of the day, you just want to deliver this stuff and understand the efficacy of your learning. And that is the type of data we're trying to source and surface for providers just like you. So using Rustici tools behind the scenes is a way to help kind of future-proof what's going on in the world. We integrate once, and we handle the wide variety of content that your users might want to bring into your world. And we do our best to surface as much of the tracking information as available to your reports in whichever flavor you want to digest that.
Yeah.
Finally, the LRS serves an important role of, for a very long time, learning management systems have been kind of the single source of truth. If you want to see reporting inside of this system, you have to take the content inside of the system. An LRS can act as what's called an endpoint, where we can start to send things from a real world training exercise or meeting attendance or AR, VR, XR, and put it into the learning record store to start to blend learning and training activities that are happening outside of your ecosystem so that you have a better understanding of the efficacy of that training. Does that make sense?
How do you track? No, I didn't. How do you track when you're doing odd? Because that's other courses than SCORM or CMI 5 courses, isn't it?
Yeah, so xAPI, there are a bunch of free and open source client libraries that help you say, here is the LRS I want to send this data to, and here is the data I'm going to send, and just dump it into the database directly through a connection. And that starts to free us up from, I have to start this learning experience by clicking play in this one learning management system, and instead starts to blend the things you're doing with the things that you're learning. And that's always been xAPI's kind of big, hairy, audacious goal, is to try and stitch together all of that information in one spot, which is that learning record store, that special database.
Yeah, but if you look into the future, or the future is already here with AI, I'm imagining that you should be able to take a course in ChatGPT or Claude or another LLM, which ask you, we are going to talk about safety at your workplace. Two important parts is like chemicals, heat, and climbing in ladders. That was free. Yeah. Do you have control of that? And I can say, I know most of chemicals, but I don't know about this. Let's start there. I'm imagining that will be a way of learning in the future, and with voice, so that you're talking with the LLM, and not necessarily has to read or write. And then you have like a personal trainer that takes you through things and giving you some questions as you go. So if you build something like that, I doesn't know if it exists, but it should be able to do with the technology today. Should that be supported by xAPI?
Yeah, it absolutely should. How all of that works and how that experience builds should continue to evolve. And I imagine it looks different today than it does in 24 months, right? This stuff is moving fast. However, the end result, I spent time with this model. It trained me. It has some data. And this is where things start to get distilled down to some pretty basic concepts. So if we imagine for a second that I'm trying to teach you something, I need to know 4 key things at the end of that, whether I'm checking your knowledge in the hallway after this podcast. Here in the States, as kids, we did standardized tests. You get a number 2 pencil and you fill out the bubbles. I'm assuming you've done something similar as a child.
Multiple choice.
Yeah, there it is. Or you get like a handwritten exam from your professor. You've got to know, are you still working on this assessment, or are you done? So have you started and have you completed? Did you pass or did you fail? What were your scores? And if I spent 2.5 hours and you spent 2.5 minutes, well, that's interesting too. So I call these things the Big Four, and they exist across every exam I've ever had in my lifetime. And I think even if you're living inside of an LLM-powered dynamic situation, you've got to know those 4 things. I took this thing in an LLM, I passed, I got a 95, and I spent 2.5 hours training on that. So those 4 critical pieces of information can be sent via xAPI, formatted as CMI 5 statements, to a platform or learning management system much like yours. And what that does is helps you say, hey, I'm keeping up with a bunch of things that this human being needs to be properly trained on. Some of it happened outside of my universe, but I have a verified two-way record of that information being done. This topic is super topical and interesting right now because my friend Jim Goodell, he's one of the leaders inside of the IEEE, is forging ahead with this concept called learning engineering. And he's teamed up with another IEEE group that is not only into learning engineering, but also into learning engineering relative to AI. And there is starting to be some real thought leadership and some real standardization on how do we know what you're doing in AI is hitting these critical learning or training moments to meet the mission or the compliance certification or the educational hours necessary to keep the CE credit or whatever it happens to be. So I'm encouraged by, hey, these standards actually allow for this, even though this technology will do things we didn't anticipate 24 months from now. And there are really smart human beings keeping up with the evolution of those standards. And hey, if you're into this stuff, please come join us at the IEEE. We have meetings about once a month, and this is, you know, the type of forward-thinking standards design that kind of has to keep pace with what's going on right now. Yeah. Whew, that was a long explanation. I'm sorry.
But this next generation, are companies good enough to start using it to, or do they, as we say, stuck in the old standards? Depends what kind of company, maybe.
It does. I would describe it more as like here in the States, we say it's a chicken or an egg situation, right? Like you don't need support in an LMS if none of your learners are saying, I'm trying to bring you things that don't work, right? Mm-hmm. But no one's bringing things to an LMS that don't work because they know they don't work and they don't even bring it up. So we have to talk about these things. You have to have cutting edge users of tools. I know you're playing with some really fancy new smart authoring products that I hope we get to talk about today. And when they bump up against platforms, we need users to say, hey, I'm trying to do XYZ, can you help? And I work with a lot of vendors and I'm one myself, but I don't think here in 2026 that like users of software talk to owners of software enough. And I'm hopeful that these conversations actually solve the chicken and egg situation because there's a lot of cool things that can happen if one hand knows what the other is doing. And I'm scared in a moment of like super fast accelerated product development that we're missing like the interconnectedness between the people using it and the people who think, oh, this would be cool if I built it. Because there's a lot of that happening day to day right now.
Just to drag it a little back to basic, because we are using a lot of words, and I'm not sure, or I'm quite sure a lot of the listeners don't understand totally how things is connected, because now we have talked about the LRS, which is where you are uploading the e-learning content, and presume that you already have the e-learning content to do that. And then you're doing a player where you can play the e-learning for the user or the learner, and then you're tracking what they are doing. So it's three things that the LRS is doing.
I completely agree.
But then we have talked about the LMS, learning management system. For a lot of people, what I just said is probably what they thought the LMS is doing. And the other thing we are talking about is the authoring tool. Which where you're making the e-learning. So it's, and those three parts is very tightly connected, and a lot of people buyers of systems will probably think that this is everything is a learning platform, so that's all together in one system, and which it's not, probably. Can you can we just, now we have talked about LRS, can you tell what is a LMS, and then after that authoring tool?
Yeah.
And
So
come
these are
with some
different
questions.
tools in the toolbox to help folks who need to deliver learning and training and keep up with what's going on. So most people think about their e-learning system as the learning management system. This is a platform that logs human beings in, knows who they are and what their role is, and has a library of things to assign to that person to take. Lets them take them and then shows reports on the other side. But if you peel it apart, there are components in there that the player of content is a very technical and hard to build component inside of most learning management systems. Rustici is not a household name for most of your learners, but we are powering hundreds and thousands of learning management systems all over the world, including yours. Thank you. It's a highly technical problem to solve and one that most people just outsource to us. And we bring that content in. We are the play button hidden behind the scenes in most learning management systems. And then we do the data wrangling on the other side. So the learning management system is the place that almost all of us go to take our security training and our workplace training that we get regularly. But instructional designers often spend their time in cool authoring tools. Adobe's
Before we go
Captivate.
into authoring tools,
Yeah, please. Yeah.
I just want to. I've been going through what kind of features should be in a LMS.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
for me, and you can comment it. One thing is you actually have a CRM system there because you need to have stored a bunch of people and with their preferences, and maybe if it's a LMS for external users, and you need to know what company they come from. So you need to know a lot about them. If it's internal, you want to have it connected to your Entra ID so that they can log in with their ordinary Microsoft products and then suddenly be into the LMS without having to log in again. And then we know them, and then we know what department are you in, who's your leader, and all that stuff. So you have to know the people, and then you have the courses, which you don't want to give all the courses to all the people because
That's
then
right.
they will get a lot of courses. So you have to be targeting different groups, which could be accountants, or it could be HR, or it can be different parts on different levels that they would like. So you should have had this course before you start on that course. So it's a lot of complexity, and then you have it's like an e-learning system. No, e-learning, I mean e-commerce system that you're ordering a course, and often the course, or especially if it's external, the course is also costing some money. So you need to generate a sales order, or you have to generate a invoice, or maybe you even want them to pay directly with the credit card as soon as they check out. And as soon as they have checked it out, then they have access to the e-learning or the seminar or the conference or a physical course, if that's what you're having. So and then they will get sent over to you, Chris, and then they're doing the e-learning, and then they get sent back. And we also, when you send it back, we also receive all the statistics or all the tracking, so that the course administrator can see who did this, who did what, download it, starting analysis and do all that stuff. And also if they pass, which you are telling with your LRS, then they automatically should get a certificate. So because then the LMS know, he or she passed. Now you can get your certificate, which will be valid for 3 years, for example. So so that's all the features. Have I forgotten something? I'm quite sure I've forgotten something, but that's the main features in the LMS. But for the end user,
you're far more intimate with that list, and It is. It's a bunch of components that seem easy, but it is a hard problem to solve. And the feature creep associated with the CRM side and the assignment side and even the certificate side gets complex. I think you left out a really interesting thing that I know you guys are actually pretty good at, which is the ultimate goal of a learning management system certainly is getting a compliance check mark, but we really care about improving someone's skills. And at the end of the day, all of the compliance tracking is just there to make sure that we have highly skilled people who can make decisions in work, in school, whatever it is, really well right off the top of their head. How do you guys surface and wrangle skills?
You mean in our system? Yeah, we have
it has to be like the ultimate goal, right? Is to
yeah.
change someone's skill. And I know you guys are working on that. I'm curious how that feeds into this interconnected system of systems.
Yeah, we have a product called Elon Skills, which is where we are making the framework of what you should know, you know? So in that system, we define the company with your strategy or goals, where you want to be in 5 years, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, because strategy is very hard to get out in your organization. You know, you can say that we are going to do this and this, but the people down in the organization never catch it, or very often doesn't catch it, because it's not common into their work description. Right? So we collect all this information first, and then we add all the departments and describe each department or what their goals is. And then we're starting putting in the roles, not the people, but the kind of positions that people have. Because then we don't have to talk about the person itself, but more the requirements for doing this and this kind of job. And that's where we are using the information that the LLM can get, and we mix it with the information about the company's strategy and goals and all that stuff, and also the department and all the strategies and the requirements in that part. And we also have connected it to some governmental skill sets. So together with that, you get the responsibilities that you probably have. So you should be responsible for the sales budget of this company, because you are a sales director or something, and you should lead a team with the sales manager and sales reps. So it tells all this stuff in responsibilities, and then it goes down into what hard skills should you have, what kind of sales techniques should you know, what kind of go-to-market strategies should you know, and also the soft skills. You should be able to be good with the team, you should be able to communicate with people, and all these small parts which is building up a position has different levels. And I've tried it for myself as a podcast host. So I saw one of the skills was interview technique. So then it was like first level was you should be able to have a conversation and keep a conversation going with your guest. And the next would be you should be able to use different techniques to get this conversation, or get the guest to tell as much as possible. And then at third level, you should be able to change from one technique to another when it's suitable. So for me, I started to search on YouTube to find videos about those techniques, because I didn't know about it, you know?
Right.
So when you have all this, then you can use it when you are employing people in the ad. You can use it for the yearly talk with your employee, where you can going through what is your professional skills And you can also starting to see what kind of skills and competences are most used in this company. Mm-hmm. So you get like a top level of it. And that's also super interesting, because if you have a company, a finance company, and you ask, what is the most important competence in your company? They probably don't know it, you know. But if you have done this for all the roles, then you will have it.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and I think it depends on the position you're in, right? Like, everybody plays a different song or instrument in the band. That's the challenge of building a team.
And of course, this is connected. So if you're seeing what you are missing, then you can find a course which is tagged up with the same competence. And then you can go into the LMS, you can attend to the course, and then you get into the LRS, to SCORM Cloud, and then you are actually doing the course there.
Sure.
And
Cool. Very cool. I think that this is the exciting part, and I think the LMS is probably the place where a lot of that cool action happens, because of all the things that you listed that you already have, the CRM side of that equation and people's preferences and knowledge and job roles. So I think that like that's going to be with us a while, and the exciting platforms focus on the outcome, which is, hey, are you better at your job after this time than you were before? And that's where I get pretty excited, and where I think like AI takes us there faster.
Yeah. But it was one topic that we haven't talked or explained yet. You started on it, and that was an authoring tool.
Yeah.
Which is
the other side.
The other side, because that's designing of the course. Can you explain what kind of tool authoring tool is? Because then I think we have like we have the whole chain of application that you need to have like a
There are a variety of tools out in the world, and with the rise of AI, I'm seeing new ones. You introduced me to one recently that I hadn't heard about before, and I'm hopeful you'll talk about using it a little more. But this class of tool, if we go back to my music example, this is the studio. This is where you build the learning experience. There are off-the-shelf libraries, but almost every organization does things slightly different than another. And this is where building a learning experience is really important. And there are a wide variety of authoring products in the world. From a standards perspective, which is what I do, SCORM, 20-something years ago, it was always the intention that it should be easier to build a SCORM package than it should be to play and track it. So when I talked earlier about the LMS side, you need a player and you need the tracking information and the skills taxonomies, and that's all hard. It's supposed to be simple to build a course. And I'm seeing authoring products right now that have taken off, doing incredible things. Recently, I saw a team take, hey, we've got to go teach this OSHA regulation. Here in the States, it's like a safety thing. I think you probably have something similar there. And, you know, it has a series of skills that this learner is supposed to be able to do, and things and policies and procedures that they must understand in order to safely do this job. The AI can reach out and get all of that information and then build a script that is related to what's going on, and then take your existing e-learning content and understand how it was built and what parts are unique to you, and recombobulate it and use AI avatars that talk and present like we are now. I've listened to information in a fake podcast before recently. I think we all have. And the important part is that it saves it out as a SCORM file pretty effortlessly. And we might look at that and go, oh my gosh, does that mean standards are going away? And I would say, no, that means standards will be used even more. It's very easy to save this thing as a SCORM package so that you can take it out of your authoring product, drop it into a tool much like you guys have that does all of the other complicated things, and just have it play and track all of the things it needs to seamlessly. And that's where standards shine, is when you don't have to think about them. Oh, I found this cool new tool. Oh, that's cool. It saves as SCORM. My LMS uses SCORM or CMI5 or AICC or whatever one of these compatible standards might be. And that type of interoperability removes the barriers of trying a new tool. And that's where I get excited that, hey, because of a career well spent building interoperability here in 2026, we're doing new things, and the old stable parts just make them work.
Yeah.
I'll take a breath there. Does that all make sense?
Absolutely, because the standard, as you say, makes it easy for you to say, okay, I want to start with Adobe Captivate and try that out. And that cost me, I don't know, maybe $100 per month to use it. Yeah, and then you say, no, I think I would like to try Articulate instead. And then you just try this one. But at the same time, you're still making courses in SCORM or CMI5. So we have the standard. You can upload it wherever you want or into SCORM Cloud. So as long as you're following and using those standards, it's very good.
Yeah.
But I also think that a lot of people don't understand. I know that because I'm talking with people about this every day.
Sure.
And that they don't know where should, like, for example, the score, how many points that you're collecting. Is that set up in the LRS, or should it be set up in the authoring tool?
Oh, fantastic question. Yeah.
Yeah, because the LRS is going to do all the counting, and but you don't build.
You're right. The LRS only catches things. It doesn't expect anything. It doesn't say, hey, you've got to give me time completion, pass fail score. It just says, I got this. So your question is, who's responsible for setting a score? Who's responsible for building a course that sends individual questions and answers? It is all the course author. And when you start to talk to instructional designers, they have very real reasons why this course must be built exactly this way. And I, for educational purposes, can't track a score in this particular course because we're not ready to measure that, and we don't want to skew the learner's results. So there is a whole school of thought around instructional design and what you should and shouldn't track, when and why and where. And the authoring tools simply give you the ability to do whatever you want, but don't mandate or dictate what you must send. So if you are in an e-learning situation and you're not getting the reporting or the tracking information, I have harsh advice, because you're not sending it. And you need to go back into your authoring tool and start to send more information out, because a learning management system can't report on data it wasn't given by the course. And it is entirely the course creator and the authoring tool's job to send as much or as little as the instructional design concept requires. So I see some vitriol, some misplaced hate often on the LMS. I never get the reports I want. Well, you're not giving them the information first. So we have to go check this box, and this box in Adobe's Captivate or Articulate Storyline or whatever tool you're using to make sure that you're providing the necessary tracking information, because some people don't want to, and that's okay too.
Yeah, but I think you have the same logic when it comes to forcing people to see a video, because very often you have videos of parts that you have to go through, and then you have to use those 5 minutes to watch the whole video if it's 5 minutes. And some people are always in a rush, so they want to have fast forward in that video, but that's not allowed. Or is it allowed?
Right.
Who decides? Is it the authoring tool, or is it the LRS that decides?
Yeah. Well, down even to what does it mean to complete? Is it that you sat here for every possible second? Is it that you just made it to the last 10 seconds? What if you rewinded and watched it 5 times? That's interesting, right? But
Yeah.
how much of that you choose to track is up to the instructional designer. And I can probably argue both sides of why you would want to do one versus another. My point is, these systems are agnostic, and this is the instructional design side of this industry's brain. And I think cool tools are the ones that let you do whatever you want.
Yeah, so the instructional designer, which is the person that is making the e-learning in the authoring tool,
right.
They decide the rules. And then the LRS in SCORM Cloud are following the rules. That's right? Yeah.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
That's simple.
And all of these pipes are kind of interconnected so that different tools do the same thing in learning management systems. And that takes a lot of careful work. But hey, it works, and it works really well, and it's very powerful. Even as technologies we've never imagined before are coming along, they're fitting into these standards in ways that are really elegant and helpful.
Yeah, you mentioned that we are using a authoring tool that is quite modern. I like a standard or a traditional authoring tool looks a little like PowerPoint. So you make like slides and you have interactions on each slide, and you're tracking that you are going from one slide to the next slide. So it's like a sequence that you're going through, and it's quite easy to make. I mean, like, if you look away for about the content, it should be made in the right way, but it's not that hard to make those slides in that tool. But what we have started with now is a product called the Cursor, which is it's a native LMS, or not LMS, a native LLM. So many 3 letters. So it's using AI, same as probably using Claude or GPT. So then when you start, instead of making all these slides, you start with uploading some content, because maybe you have some instructions in a PDF, maybe you have a website explaining what to do, maybe you have some courses in Word documents, maybe you have it even in a PowerPoint, and then you can upload one or more of those documents, and then it will absorb it just like a LLM and starting analyzing it. And then we come back to you after some seconds and say, who do you want to take this course? Is it the sales department, or is it the HR department, or is it accountants? Which is like different kind of people. You know, salespeople always wanted to do things fast. Accounts always wanted to. I know it's not like that with everyone, but you know. So it asks, what kind of approach would you like? What kind of tone do you want? Should it be cozy, or should it be like lecturing? So they ask in different way, and also say, how many chapters should this be?
Right.
And then it suggests, like, I think the content could be 4 chapters, for example. And then when you just ask or answer all these questions and click generate, then it generates the whole course. Of course, it's following a standard. It's picking images from the PDF or the PowerPoint. So it builds up. If it doesn't find anything, it uses stock images and making the course in minutes that you probably would have used several weeks making earlier. And then you go in, and then you can manually change things. You can add a video from YouTube, or which you already have. You can like pimp it how you want it to be, and then you finalize it and export it out as a SCORM package and upload it in SCORM Cloud. And making a course in Learn, and then you have the whole thing. So
Yeah.
we did this in a webinar for 1 year ago, I think. So we had one of the people that have attended to the webinar. He said, do you want to come in the studio and be a part of the webinar? And then you bring a PDF, and then we do all these things in 1 hour. We're going to do it in 1 hour. So we call it the Chaos webinar.
Wow.
And we published the e-learning, and we even got people to signing up and starting doing the e-learning session during that hour.
The speed with it is so impressive.
Yeah. Of course, if you didn't have a time limit for 1 hour, you probably will use a little more time to go through and have quality check with the professionals or domain people of that subject, but it is possible.
Wow. And 3 years ago, we wouldn't have imagined these things, right? Like the speed in which this stuff is moving is really exciting. And I enjoy being at the center of all of these things because I feel like I get a front row seat to the cool things people are building at times. Fascinating story.
But what are you doing in Rustici Software about AI? Because no software companies can live today without adding more AI into. And I know you have a lot of thoughts and you are working a lot with it.
Yeah, we're all hands on deck with these things, and Rustici as an organization has deeply embraced it. We are mostly developers. That's probably not shocking to anybody who's played with how technical our software is. I'm a failed developer by trade, and just in my personal life, this has unlocked all types of magic. I can draw software on a whiteboard, but you don't want me coding it anymore. I haven't done that in years and years, and this is giving me enough to be dangerous, which is super exciting. Rustici is pretty focused. We have built a product that is in our customers' hands called Generator. And there's a journey here. We set out to use Generator to build descriptions and blurbs and questions and all the things that we thought folks who have off-the-shelf e-learning content will need. Oh, we'll go clean up their library and measure some things. We completely missed the hardest part of using SCORM within a new AI model, which is that the standard governs how it must play and track. We thought that that would be pretty easy for us because we do that all the time and almost nothing else. But how the content is packaged into a zip file, how a SCORM file, an AICC file exist in the world is completely bespoke almost to every course. Each authoring tool saves it differently inside the zip file, and each version of each authoring tool does that. And this creates a scaling problem that even we weren't ready to solve. It turns out the hardest part of using old e-learning content and modern AI tools is reading the content itself out of the package and understanding what it's doing. That is a very difficult problem, and one that we spent a lot of time to solve in the right way. We're highly technical and we get pretty pedantic about how we must approach these things. And if you fast forward to today, there are some very large platforms out there saying, I can't go do the next gen stuff because I have 10,000 SCORM courses in my learning system today. And I need all of that to be fed into my LLM. Can you help? And it turns out the feeding of it with the fidelity, the information, the insights, the multimedia that exists from 25 years of this stuff building up, that is a hard problem to solve, and one that we're now able to run at scale. It's taken us years to figure this out, but I'm highly confident that now that we have this approach, we can start to parse all of the e-learning content out in the world, certainly build descriptions and blurbs, but more importantly, hand this locked away information over to the folks building the next generation of tools. I think SCORM will continue to be the way that modern content is repackaged for playback and tracking through all the things that we've talked about. But I think getting the books that exist on your bookshelf today into these modern systems is a crucial first step, and one that's harder and takes more time than I think anyone ever expected, certainly including us. So I'm really encouraged now that we have caught up and we are where we need to be. And I think that a lot of folks with existing libraries will have that moment themselves probably by fall, because this stuff's moving quickly and the amount of tools that can parse these things based on Rustici are increasing, and even tools like SCORM Cloud will have this type of ability just natively built in soon enough.
Yeah. So that was generator. That was a very long speech.
I know.
Because it solves the problem with old learning content.
That's right. Making old learning content new via AI is a harder problem than it seems, and one that we've recently solved with generator. Let's give it a try.
And altering tools, they make SCORM, but very seldom they are reading SCORM.
Yeah.
Is it true?
By design, the e-learning standards never wanted you to be able to open a SCORM course and be able to change it. You see that in the music standards too. If you think about an MP3, you and I can't just download an MP3 and delete my vocals and make a karaoke song. Once it's published, it is an uneditable published moment, and the e-learning standards wanted to do the same thing. And for years, people have been like, oh, but I just need to like change this one part of the course, man. And it's like, hey, you've got to go back into your authoring tool and recreate all of this, where generator and AI and preparing these new things should make all of that much simpler in the future.
Yeah, I think that will help a lot of people. And the problem you described with that you're stuck with the library of all the courses that is 20 years old makes you stay in the same old LMS and LRS, and you're not able to start using newer tools.
That's right. So we had to build that bridge to this new place, but I think once you get there, it goes very quickly. And the amount of data and the automatic skills tacking, it's something that we do and we're helping providers with. You know, eventually when you get into skills, often learning organizations that are sophisticated say, hey, that's great, but I have my own skills taxonomy. I don't want you just tagging these courses for skills. You've got to do it in this specific way. And we already accommodate that level of fidelity. So I think we're going to see a massive change in the next 12 months as it becomes super easy to start integrating LLMs inside of all manners of that learning ecosystem, not just updating old content, creating new content, but also how skills and competencies are going to be tracked on the other side of a learning management system.
Yeah. On the LMS side, I think you also will see a lot of new AI features. I've been starting investigating myself. Have you heard about Claude Coworker? Cowork?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that's a desktop application where you can connect to your other applications like Word or Excel or Mail, Outlook, or to Jira or whatever tool you're using, and then you can start chatting with it. You know?
Yeah.
So I used to go into Cowork and then ask, have I got any important mails today? Is there anyone I should answer? Yeah, and then it started reading my mails and giving me feedback of what to do.
Wow.
So and that is using a standard kind of API or a connection, which is used for LLMs. I think it's coming a new standard now calling CLI or something. So if it's Copilot from Microsoft, or if it's Claude, or is a ChatGPT, they should follow the standards, all of them, and they have different kind of desktop applications that you can connect. But what we are looking for is for the course admin to help the course admin to say, for example, tell me how many have attended to this course, how many did pass, can you do an analysis of it, because it's using this API to get all this information, or saying, we are going to run this course again, can you copy the old course and make a new one, set the date to 25th of May, and send it out to. And you just write it as you do when you're chatting with ChatGPT, and then you get it to do it, because you have made all these connections in there, and that's a very free and cool way to work. That's a way you would talk with another person and not with a system.
Yeah. I love all of these things, and you know, I don't want to give away our secret sauce, but we've built that type of stuff into prototypes of SCORM Cloud already, where you can start to analyze, and it's our hope that like real platforms surface the SCORM Cloud capabilities in their own UI, but putting that out in a product is a level of maturity that all of us need to go beat on it for a while. My favorite thing to do when we do play with these things is like, hey, give me 10,000 bananas and just see what it does. Because, you know, when you just start talking about go check my emails and go do these things, like that's all great until you let somebody like me in there who's just demanding bananas of all of these different platforms and watching what they do, because these AI tools want to please you, and putting this type of freedom into learning and training and compliance, like we could end up with some really unintended consequences here. And the difference between playing with some of these things and building like mature products that can exist in the industry in a high compliance environment, well, these are two different sides of a very fast moving road. And, you know, I'm hopeful that we see a lot of like really mature scrutiny around how we're implementing these things. And it's one of the criticisms I'll give like my own tolerance of these things is, hey, I need these to be fully baked and ready for consumption with chaos agents like me in there asking for all types of crazy things that shouldn't happen, because once these things make it out in the world, they're very hard to pull back.
Yeah. But of course you have to make guardrails so it doesn't do all these 10,000 bananas. Or we have some customers that have 140,000 people in the database, and you don't want the system to start inviting all those people every time, because then they will think it's spam and they don't want to receive anything. So then you have to make guardrails that says, no, you cannot do that, or then you need a people in the loop to accept those big things. And these big things or big mistakes that you can do, very often it's already in the system, some guardrails. For example, if you want to send an email to 100,000 people in our system, it says, that's a lot of people. Do you really want? If you really want, you have to write down the number. How many are you going to send to? And then you have to write 100,000. And then, okay, then I got you.
The marching orders last year or the year before, as we were all evaluating AI tools, were always a competent human in the loop, right? And the more interconnected that these AI tools become, the more important it is to have a competent human in the loop, and having tools like yours say like, man, are you sure? Like, that's a lot of people. There are no bananas in here. What are you doing? Right? Like, and I think we're getting there. I think it limits speed, but it should. And like some of these things are important to unpack with responsible people, right?
But you also know you can give AI different roles.
You can.
So I'm playing a lot with Claude Code these days. So
Yes.
first I make like a specification of a part of the system that I'm making, and then when we went through everything, then I say, can you check it with our rules for how a specification could be, which I have already made as a MD file, which is called Markdown file. So then it has to say, okay, then I will check it with your rules. And then we come a report back and say, no, we haven't put in any test scenarios. You haven't done like this and this. And then we do that together. And then I say, okay, now we're going to start making the application. You have to spin up one agent for developing, one agent for UX, user experience, that is being sure that we are following the design system, and one for QA, which is like checking that everything you are doing now is going to be according to the specification in the MD file. And then it spins up those three agents, and they are like monitoring each other. And I get like on the main agent, I get like reports from, no, we check this, no, we check this. The design is like it should be, Of course, it's happened mistakes, but you can do this kind of agents in e-learning as well, I think. So if someone ordering 10,000 bananas, you should have quality assurance agents that's saying, this is usual. We should check, or if they're buying some products or doing some stuff that is not natural, they should start asking questions about it.
Yeah. I find it fascinating. I mean, what a weird time. This is all changing fast, and I don't see a path where, even business people like you and I don't become the managers of agents at times. And I'm all for it. Like, this is great.
Yeah. Great. Is it something more we should have talking about, Chris?
I mean, we've covered a lot of ground today. We went from standards into learning management systems and into authoring and how we think AI will go. Man, I think if you and I check back in 6 months, we can probably talk about all the things that have changed between now and then.
Yeah, I guess so. But that's great. Then I say thank you very much for your time and for sharing all the knowledge that you have a lot of.
It's my pleasure. I appreciate the check-in on your side as well. You guys are implementing these things, you're doing impressive stuff, and it's always fascinating for me to see how it's evolving. So a two-way conversation for Surians. I've learned 3 things in our discussion today I wasn't ready for.
Great. Okay. I guess we see you around in 1 year or something.
That sounds great.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a great afternoon. Thanks for your time.
Takk for at du hørte på Digitaliseringspodden, levert av Computerworld og Already On.